Hello everyone, it's me again, Liam, back with Carl again.
Hi,
And today, we are here with part 3 of the DC Cinematic Universe.
yeah.
Okay, let's begin. The first movie in Phase 3 is Superman 3, which I have called Superman World's Finest.
Right.
This movie would kind of be like the Batman v Superman of this universe, since Batman and Superman's rivalry has been more built up than how it was in the real life DCEU.
Right.
Now, for here are the teams. Team Superman. Superman. Team Superman would basically be.
I talked to Liam. I talked to Liam about whole.
I know this is a picture of Team Cap here, but Team Superman would be Superman for Captain America, Green Arrow for Hawkeye, Supergirl for and Hawkman for Falcon, Zatanna for Scarlet Witch, Winter Soldier. I know I made him Red Hood, but since he's usually with Batman, I'm gonna replace him with I I'm gonna go with John Constantine. I know that's not a the best choice, but still, I didn't have any other option. And Ant-Man, of course, would be Adam. Team Batman. Batman for Iron Man. Black Canary for Black Widow. Vision for Red Tornado. For War Machine, I'm gonna go with John Stewart's Green Lantern. Since Nightwing doesn't seem to, since Nightwing is not usually a member of the Justice League, he's not a member of the Justice League usually. And John Stewart would also be introduced in Justice League Brainiac Attack, who would serve in the place of War Machine.
Right.
As for the counterparts to Black Panther and Spider-Man, since they were introduced in this movie, for Black Panther, this would be Aquaman. For Spider-Man, Flash and Damian Wayne, who would become Robin in this movie.
Right.
And it can be explained that during the time between Batman 3 and this film, Bruce has been teaching his son to become like a hero like him.
Yeah.
And because Black Canary is on Batman's team, this would cause a bit of a rift in Green Arrow and Black Canary's relationship.
Yeah.
As for the villain, Baron Zemo, this would be General Zod.
Right.
Essentially, it could kind of be like World's Finest, just with more heroes, and Lex Luthor and Joker being replaced with General Zod, Ursa, and Non.
Correct.
And with General Zod making his debut in this movie, we can show more of Superman's backstory on Krypton.
Yeah.
And for the counterparts of Crossbones, this would be the return of Bloodsport.
Right.
Now, the movie would end on a downer note with the Justice League now apart because of Zod, and Clark having to give up to be Superman to be a father full time with Lois and his newborn son, John.
Right.
Next movie is Doctor Fate.
I like Doctor Strange.
Now, this would be an origin story for Doctor Fate. The prologue would essentially be showing Ken Nelson's backstory, and the present day would show us an older Ken Nelson. And most of his teammates of the Justice Society of America have died since the passing of World War II.
Right.
Wait a minute. And Ken Nelson would meet the future Doctor Fate. That, of course, would be like,
I like Doctor Strange.
I was the future Doctor Fate, like the new Doctor Fate in the comics, Khalad Nasaru. As for the villain, this would be Anti-Fate.
What?
And for the counterpart to Dormammu, the Lords of Chaos.
Yeah.
And I initially considered Trigon, but speaking of Trigon, he would appear in an after-credits scene, setting up Teen Titans 2.
Yeah.
Speaking of Teen Titans 2, we get Teen Titans 2 itself.
Right. Right.
Everyone from the first movie returns, obviously. But for new members, for the counterpart to Mantis, I'm gonna go with Wonder Girl. For the counterpart to Nebula, Bumblebee, and Jane, and not just Bumblebee right now. For Yondu, Speedy, aka Red Arrow. And for the counterpart to Kilgran, Kid Flash.
Yeah.
As for the villain, for the counterpart to Eshia, this would be the debut of Blackfire, Starfire's older sister.
Yeah.
And the villain who would serve as our counterpart to Ego would be Trigon.
Right.
And since Guardians of the Galaxy 2 was all about Star-Lord's backstory, because Trigon is Raven's father, this would be the Raven movie. This would focus on Raven's backstory.
It would.
And essentially, would Trigon die? No. Trigon's too powerful. So instead, Trigon gets banished to another world where he can't escape.
Yeah.
And the final battle can be like the season 4 finale of Teen Titans, the end.
Right.
But that's all I have to say for Teen Titans 2. Next movie is The Flash.
Right.
Now, for the counterpart to Spider-Man himself, this would be Barry Allen. He would be Flash in this movie. Other characters would be, for the counterpart to Ned, Wally. For the counterpart to MJ, Iris West.
Right.
And she and Barry would be married. They would get married at the end, though. As for the villain, I decided to split the villain into two characters: Weather Wizard and Reverse. Just Weather Wizard. Just Weather Wizard. To the counterpart to Vulture. For the counterpart to Shocker, this would be Mirror Master. And for the counterpart to the Tinkerer, the Thinkerer.
Right.
That's all I have to say about The Flash. Next movie is Wonder Woman 3, which I've called Wonder Woman Paradise. No. Wonder Woman Fall of Olympus.
Right.
And the counterpart to Korg would be Wonder Girl. For the counterpart to... We can also bring back Steve Trevor II. I'm calling him Steve Trevor II because I'm lazy to come up with a name. And he and Wonder Woman continue to develop their relationship. Hal Jordan would also be in this movie, and this movie would explain why Wonder Woman and Green Lantern were in Superman's world's finest. And the villain would be, you guessed it, Ares. After 3 movies of build-up, we now have Ares as the villain. His goal is to kill his half sister Diana. but he has to make her suffer. He does this by murdering her mother, Hippolyta.
Yeah.
And because he found that Asteria replaced him, he kills Asteria too.
Right.
And essentially, there would be a sad scene where Diana goes to Asteria's dying body, saying, but this is not like a redemption, it's just a sad moment.
Yeah.
And Diana wishes she could have done everything to redeem Asteria, but she knew she couldn't be redeemed.
Right.
And then Ares begins to torment Diana on Themyscira. But for the counterpart to Scourge, this would be Dr. Psycho, and we can also bring back Circe.
Yeah.
For the counterpart to Grandmaster, this would be Maxwell Lord. And essentially, the counterpart to Surtur would be Hades.
Yeah.
And the movie would end with one climactic final battle between Ares and Wonder Woman, similar to the 2017 movie, but it's on Themyscira and not on our world.
Right.
And essentially, this would involve most of Themyscira being destroyed because of Hades.
Yeah.
And the ending would show, and Diana would make sure she and her people would help rebuild Themyscira, until the after credits scene, which shows a ship and a familiar figure setting up the third Justice League movie.
Right.
Next movie we have is Aquaman. The movie could be the same with a few changes. First of all, get rid of Amber Heard as Mera, obviously. For the counterpart to Shuri, this would be Aqualad. As for the counterpart to... And the timeline would be adjusted and remove all the references to Justice League.
Yeah.
And Orm would not make it out alive, because he would be Killmonger in this film. Which means, during the final battle, Aquaman kills his half-brother.
Yeah. He does.
And of course, they can have a sad scene where it's kind of like the scene where Qui-Gon Jinn dies in The Phantom Menace, but it would just be Aquaman trying to save his half-brother, but it's too late. He dies.
Yeah.
And Arthur would be enraged knowing that he killed his half-brother.
I will.
And this would set up Aquaman's character arc for Justice League, the next movie. Speaking of the next movie, this would be Justice League Apocalypse War.
Yeah.
And as you guessed, the villain here would be Darkseid.
Yeah.
The movie would begin with Themyscira being destroyed by Darkseid himself.
Right.
And why would Darkseid come to Themyscira? Because he wants to attain one of the anti-life equation boxes, the mother boxes, to form the anti-life equation.
Yeah.
The movie can begin with Wonder Woman and Green Lantern trying to fight Darkseid and his forces, but Darkseid just beats them ruthlessly to show how menacing and threatening he can be.
Yeah.
And he would just send them back to our world. For the counterparts to Black Order, I'm going to go with Steppenwolf, Granny Goodness, Dazahad, and Kill It Back, Darkseid's son. The movie will also show Darkseid's backstory and why he became evil in the first place. And the second mother box would be on Oa, and Darkseid here would kill most of the Green Lanterns. He slaughters most of the Green Lanterns.
Yeah.
He is just committing mass murder everywhere he goes here.
Yes, he is.
He obtains the second Mother Box. A few Green Lanterns like Jessica Cruz, Simon Baz, Jon Stewart, Guy Gardner, and Kilowog would make it out alive, thanks to Hal Jordan. The third Mother Box would be on Atlantis. Arthur would still be mourning the loss of his brother. Clark would come out of retirement as Superman, so they can all take down Darkseid. But the Justice League lose in this movie.
Yeah, like the Avengers.
And here's why. Darkseid would obtain the final Mother Box. He kills Red Tornado. And the movie would end similar to Zack Snyder's Justice League 2, where he kills Lois Lane and Superman's son and corrupts him by using the anti-life equation.
Right.
And most of the heroes die brutally by Darkseid and his forces.
Yeah.
Most of the Titans, except for Nightwing, Beast Boy, Bumblebee, and Raven, would survive. The original 7 members of the Justice League, but some members of the Justice League die. Some of them die.
Yeah.
And the world is in chaos.
Yes, it is.
Next movie, but for a more lighter approach, we then go to Atom and Giganta, following the dark film that was Justice League Apocalypse War.
Yeah.
Now, Giganta would serve as the counterpart to the Wasp. And of course, the villain here, since the villain's Ghost, I'm splitting Ghost into 2 characters. Gentleman Ghost, an obscure Batman villain, and Lady Kronos.
Yeah.
As for the counterpart to Walter Goggins' character, this would be Bug-Eyed Bandit. He can also serve as the counterpart to Bill Foster.
Yeah.
And the movie would end with Adam going to the microverse, but he can't escape. He cannot escape!
I can't.
The movie would have a dark ending, similar to Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Yeah.
Next movie is Shazam! The movie would stay mostly the same, except the movie would be set sometime before Justice League 3, sometime before Darkseid came around. The only real difference is that Superman's cameo would be replaced with Batman or Martian Manhunter.
Yeah.
Mastermind would also have more screen time, serving in a similar role to the Supreme Intelligence.
Right.
And Dr. Savant can be like Jude Law's character, Yon-Rogg. And the 7 Deadly Sins can be his minions still.
Correct.
Next up, we get to the final movie of the phase, Justice League Final Crisis.
Yeah.
The movie would be like Zack Snyder's Justice League 3. The movie begins with the heroes after they were defeated by Darkseid. But not all hope seems lost, because we have some recruitments.
Right.
Like Shazam. And of course, a new character. That would be Orion. The second son of Darkseid.
Yeah.
And he would want to help the Justice League take down his father.
Right.
And essentially, they replaced Deathstroke and Joker in the Nightmare timeline because reasons. Now, what happened to the other Green Lanterns is that they died. They died.
I guess they did.
And essentially, could get that And when Adam comes out of the microverse, they would essentially have a last supper because they know they're all going to die. Because corrupted Superman would come, and so would Darkseid, so they can kill the remaining heroes.
Yeah.
And essentially we could get a father versus son fight between Darkseid and Orion. And it would be revealed that Darkseid hated Orion the day he was born.
Correct.
And once they obtain the mother boxes, rather than the Flash going back in time to warn Bruce about the dark future, the Flash and Dr. Fate would sacrifice themselves. They would die.
Yeah.
And then the final battle would be similar to Avengers Endgame, with everyone teaming up against Darkseid and his forces.
Right.
And of course, the only real difference is that Flash and Dr. Fate are now replaced with Orion and the new Dr. Fate, who I'm gonna call him Mena Masao because the new Dr. Fate in the comics looks like the guy who played Aladdin in the remake of Aladdin, Mena Masao. And then we get a huge epic final battle. And much like the ending of Zack Snyder's Justice League 3, Batman dies defeating Darkseid.
Yeah, like Iron Man.
And essentially, the movie would end with a funeral for Batman. Here are the moments for each character. For the Superman moment, Clark gives up being Superman so he can be a full-time father and raise his son and be with Lois.
Right.
The new Dr. Fate would form a new Justice Society of America with Hawkman joining. We can get like a scene where for Wonder Woman's moment, she would meet Cassie Sandsmark, who wants to be a hero like Wonder Woman when she grew up, because she would be Wonder Woman's #1 fan, and Diana would see the interest in training her to become a hero like her one day.
Right.
And the Bat family would all be there and would be at Bruce's grave. But Nightwing breaks up with Batgirl. He just breaks up with Batgirl because ever since Teen Titans they've become more distant.
Yeah.
And this hints that Nightwing will end up with Starfire in Teen Titans 3.
Right.
As for the Aquaman moment, he finds out he and Mura give birth to their child, Arthur Jr. And Aquaman would make sure he doesn't let the same thing that happened to Orm happen to his new family. And there would be a funeral for Flash in which Wally West would repaint his Flash suit. And the movie would end with Clark showing Lois and their baby son, John, a film documenting his adventures with Batman, and it would also show Batman's adventures too. Thus, bringing Batman's and Superman's journey in this universe full circle.
Right.
Well, kind-ish. Because you'll see why. Next movie is The Flash 2, which I've called Flash Legacy. I really wanted this to be a Damian Wayne movie. I wanted this to be a movie about Damian Wayne. But because I made The Flash the counterpart of Spider-Man, I had no choice. Rather than focusing on the death of Bruce Wayne, Wally's trying to get over the death of Barry, his uncle. And so, he would wear, like, the New 52 suit, where it's red and silver. and he's trying to live up to Barry Allen's legacy. And who would the main villain be? Mirror Master, returning from the first Flash movie.
Yeah.
And that's it for Phase 3 of the DC Cinematic Universe. Stay tuned for August for Part 4. Anyways, bye.